The Nobel Peace Prize for 2019 has been awarded to Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali. He was cited for his peacemaking efforts with Ethiopia's bitter rival Eritrea.
Ethiopia and Eritrea fought a border war from 1998 to 2000 that left around 80,000 people dead. And since then, the two Horn of Africa countries have been locked in hostilities for 2 decades.
But through Prime Minister Abiy's efforts, they restored relations in July last year. In its announcement, the Nobel Committee cited Mr. Abiy's decisive initiative to resolve the conflict for awarding him the prestigious prize.
The 43-year-old premier had only been sworn in for 6 months when he brokered the peace accord with Eritrea. Now, he surprised many when he paid a warm visit to Eritrea's president, Isaias Afwerki, in the Eritrean capital of Asmara in July 2018. Now, that meeting was the first of its kind in their 20-year military standoff.
Since taking office in April 2018, Mr. Abiy has ended a state of emergency, freed political prisoners, and got Parliament to lift a so-called terrorist ban on opposition groups. Recently, he shifted his focus to Ethiopia's economy, pledging to open up the country to foreign investment.
Mr. Ahmed beat out more than 300 candidates for the Nobel Peace Prize this year. Among the favorites were climate activist Greta Thunberg and New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern.
And for more on the story, we're joined by Henrik Urdal, a director of the Peace Institute in Oslo. Firstly, was Prime Minister Abiy an obvious choice for you to win the award this year?
Well, among experts, he was seen as one of the absolute frontrunners. In fact, he's been in the Nobel speculations ever since he took office in April 2018, precisely because of the democratic reforms that he's started in Ethiopia, but also, of course, the peace. The agreement with Eritrea, and also the internal processes, of course, within Ethiopia.
Henrik, when it comes to the Nobel Peace Prize in particular, not everybody is always in agreement. So what made the PM the standout candidate, given some really strong contenders this year?
It was a quite open field among sort of a set of major contenders, but of course the peace agreement between Ethiopia and Eritrea was the only sort of major breakthrough in a sort of conflict between countries. So among the type of conventional candidates, it really stood out as one of the major achievements. And as I said, Abiy has also both had a new government, which is seen as very inclusive. He's been inviting the leaders of different internal armed groups to start a dialogue. And he's also caused a lot of attention across borders in the region with his ambitions to start developing economic and political bonds across the region.
Now, he only took office in April of 2018, so just over a year, about a year and a half in office. He seems to have achieved an awful lot in that time.
He's been very active. It's been a quite spectacular record that he has. At the same time, of course, this prize is both a push and an acknowledgement on the part of the Nobel Committee. It is also a bold move by the committee because many of these processes have not in any way been completed. The territory of Badme is still controlled by Ethiopia. This is going to be returned to Eritrea. We've seen an increase in levels of violence across regions in Ethiopia in recent months. And there's also a promised election next year that now will have to be held in order for Abiy Ahmed to be on track with his reform program. So there is a lot to deliver on. At the same time, this support that hopefully will come as a result of the Peace Prize, and of course the watching over his shoulder will hopefully mean that it's going to be possible for Abiy Ahmed to make real progress on his reform programs.
Henrik, every year the Nobel Prize giving season comes round and we always anticipate, particularly the Peace Prize on the last days. What's the significance of this Peace Prize in this day and age?
I think this prize is really speaking to the importance and significance of the prize today. It really is a support for an ongoing process rather than a prize for past achievements. Just like the prize to Santos in Colombia in 2016, this is a prize that can have huge implications for the developments, not only in Ethiopia, but on the whole of the African continent.
Henrik, thank you very much for your perspectives on this win by the Ethiopian Prime Minister. That was Henrik Urdal, Director of the Peace Institute in Oslo.